To be followed by Stuart Stevenson.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. This petition in the debate today highlights the important role the Public Petitions Committee plays for this Parliament. And clearly the issue under discussion is an easy subject area and is a relatively straightforward one, as many members have already indicated. The resistance to having a general register of judicial interests seems, in my mind, and that of many others, comes from ingrained conservative forces, and I am clearly not talking about Mr Carlow in this instance. However, in terms of his impersonation of one of his colleagues, may highlight the conservative nature of the legal profession. The committee have attempted to engage in a positive manner with all those identified by the petition. The same cannot be said of all of those who have had an input on the public record. The Lord President, Lord Gill, declined to accept the invitation by the committee to give evidence in respect to the petition based on constitutional principle, and in particular reference to the Scotland Act 1998, Section 23, subsection 7. While this might be considered by some to be a reasonable response, it is undermined by the fact that Lord Gill has appeared before other committees of this Parliament. Principally, there is good practice taking place in Scotland. That means the elected members, such as councillors and members of this Parliament, have to make undertakings in terms of their own register of interests. So why the lack of positive engagement is essentially a mystery to me, especially when the then Judicial Complaints Reviewer, Ms Moy Ali, supported the petition in both correspondence and excellent oral evidence to the Public Petitions Committee. We already know, and it has been reported widely, that details of shareholdings of those on the Scottish Court Service Board are already in place, and I welcome the information that has been discussed earlier relating to the recusal by sheriffs and judges in cases that they have decided they cannot sit in judgment on. Lord Justice Neuberger, President of the UK Supreme Court, in a speech on the 26th of August 2014, actually said to the Hong Kong Foreign Correspondents Club, stated, "The rule of law also requires the honest, fair, efficient and open dispensation of justice, and therefore there is no hope for the rule of law unless we have judges who are independent, honest, fair and competent, and who are seen to be independent, honest, fair and competent." So clearly, Presiding Officer, we have to ask the question, why can we not have a register? No doubt the associated media coverage covering the non-appearance of Lord Gill to the Public Petitions Committee has led to the title of Lord No-No. It is not something I particularly welcome, although quite frankly it does seem to have a degree of merit of an individual who spends 6 days in Qatar and giving a speech talking about transparency and judicial regulation that lasted 1 hour, while not finding the courtesy to accept an invitation from a mandatory committee of this Parliament. Presiding Officer, I welcome the opportunity to raise awareness of the petition and the petitioner's work in relation to this petition, which could be dismissed by some unkind types as a boring constitutional matter. But clearly, as others have spoken this debate today, linking it to registers of interest in other areas clearly highlights the work this Parliament has to do in relation to making sure that everyone, no matter who the public are dealing with, is held in high regard. And a register of interest for judges, I would argue, would be one of those areas where we could actually move forward and we could actually build more confidence in the system that we have in place. And to quote part of the speech that Lord Gill gave in Qatar, in his last paragraph, he is quoted as saying, "One drawback of a jurisdiction steeped in tradition is its slow reaction to change and to modernise." And I think Lord Gill should reread his own words and reflect on the speech that he gave in Qatar, and maybe he could do that same speech in Scotland and actually bring the judicial system up to a standard we would all like to see it holding. As I said, Presiding Officer, this petition clearly highlights the work of the Petitions Committee, and I look forward to more challenging petitions being heard by the committee that can be subject to debate in this chamber. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Now Colin Stewart.